Welcome, Hunters, to the Hunters Hub, episode 34. Today, we're going to be doing some speculation about E3 and that kind of stuff. Just, as general gamers, and of course, about Monster Hunter 2. But today, welcome back, Toaster.
Aloha, attractive people.
And welcome, new guest, Virtue.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
So, as most of you know, we like to get to know our guests before we get into anything. So, Virtue, how did you get into Monster Hunter?
Oh man, I've been around from the beginning, but as far as how I got into it, I used to play Final Fantasy XI, and I played on the Siren server. And there was a guy named Milkman, and it turned out he was a editor-in-chief at a gaming magazine. And they talked about the game, and I heard about the game, and it sounded like a game that I would be really interested in. And, I mean, obviously I'm here.
Yeah. That's awesome. So someone else guided you into it, just that you were playing with...
Yeah, like I just heard about the game through other people, and it seemed like it was a game that would be fun and something to play with my dad, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay.
That's much more interesting than the normal story of I saw a cool box on a shelf.
Yeah, we get that a lot. All right, so now that we'd like to ask you, what is your favorite weapon?
Oh man, do people actually answer that question and have a concise answer?
I don't think we've had anyone that hasn't.
Oh Jesus!
Not to put pressure on, but
we've had a couple people like the last guest who had over 1,000 hunts every single game per weapon.
Yeah, I mean, I think
just on Lance, yeah.
I think I main a different weapon per title, but I like to experience it all or use all weapons.
Okay, so what have you been using in Monster Hunter World?
Greatsword.
Mostly. Greatsword?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so good now. It really is.
I mean, I'd argue that all of them are good.
No,
it's really cool. I just can't pull it off properly.
Yeah.
It's those shoulder points. That's where it's at.
Mm-hmm. Sort of just charging through those attacks.
It definitely adds like a layered mobility, so it becomes less of a timing or spacing weapon and more of a technical weapon because you can set yourself up nicely.
Right. Yeah, I know. I get that. Whenever I'm playing Generations to gear up for Generations Ultimate, I've been playing Greatsword myself.
I'm almost thinking about just starting a fresh character for when we get Generations Ultimate.
I kind of didn't have a choice. My save got deleted.
Ooh.
It was my own fault. I switched profiles on my 3DS.
Gross.
Yeah.
I do want to hold on to my old character, but I want to start a new character. So start a new one, play around a little bit, and then after a while just jump over and be like, yeah, I need my old stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm more in line with that. Like, this really sucks and I want my good weapons, so...
Yeah. So, what are your top 3 monsters?
I would have to say Nargacuga. He's probably one of my all-time favorite monsters, even though the classification...
A very, very cool monster.
It's like the classification changes. Like, some people say it's never been officially pseudo, but the players have always known it as pseudo, and I'm pretty sure it was listed in like a hyphenated version of pseudo in the early Freedom series, but...
Yeah, I don't think it was ever officially, but you might be right.
I'd like to see it again.
You're wrong, but you're also right.
Well, I mean, yeah, everyone still calls them pseudo-wyverns. Fun fact, just last Thursday or Friday, I released one of my ecologies. It's my last Monster Hunter one that is pseudo-wyverns.
Nice.
So,
yeah, one on KZ.
Yeah,
I did. He was in the flying wyverns.
Neat.
Yep.
And the gross wyverns.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I go into the general, like, what the general thing is for a pseudo wyvern. I don't talk about specifics until you get into variants.
Right.
And I only had 3 variants. I only had Tigrex, Nargacuga, and Barioth. So.
There was Pari Pari in the Frontier series, the more newt lizard version, but I mean, I guess you wouldn't really consider that canon since we never really got that in the West unless you played outside.
Right. Oh, I didn't know about that one. I was going to come up with some original ones too, but I just didn't take the time to do so.
I think there's a couple that fall in that classification of like having the pawed wings.
By the way, because you mentioned Nargacuga, I will go on record as saying some of the coolest armor and weapons. I love having like crazy high sharp and critical on a weapon, even if it's not like raw damage, because I think it's just more fun.
Yeah, they've always been like tailored to like the affinity and evasion based users, so it's more of like a speed play in my opinion or outlook.
I also used to like Switch X more, and Nargacuga is just like the default skills on Nargacuga armor is just for Switch X. It's built for it.
While I love Narga across the board, it's mostly Lucent that shines the most for me. Like that's my my in-game girlfriend that I just like to fight with for hours and hours just for my own enjoyment.
I've never got to play her. She's in that list of things I never got to do.
Oh man, you're missing out.
It was tough. That's when I was almost completely solo because my brother dropped out on me on 3U. So that was a tough fight for solo hammer.
Well, there's like 3 or 4 main quests in that 3rd gen 3U that are like the pinnacle of quests, or like that G and above kind of status, and that was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, Abyssal Lagiacrus I think is the one I had the most trouble with.
I always thought when you kill Abyssal, it turns into that weird stone look, and I always thought that would be cool if they had like a stone Lagiacrus.
Right. No, it would be cool. I agree there.
I'm supposed to pick 2 more, aren't I?
Yep. No, I was a lot about Narga.
Yeah, I love Narga.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I love them.
I enjoy the fight, but like armor-wise, it's more like a Barioth, like Barioth G armor. That's the armor. But
okay, it does have a cool long coat.
It's legit, dude. Second monster would probably have to be Kushala Daora.
Okay.
So from the moving or the jump into Dose, and then later on represented in the Freedom 2 and then Unite. Out of all the elders, I felt like that was the elder that was the most unique or different from everything that you fought in before. I don't know, wind, ice, that was all new. Not necessarily wind pressure, but just like the way that the monster interacted kind of in that environment.
Okay.
And
I don't think we've had Kushi yet.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful monster. I mean, like the first ecology video that most people saw in Freedom 2 and on, where it like sheds its skin and then it's like incandescent and then like hardens in the weather and then becomes like metallic again.
That was a fun cutscene. I actually saw that before I started Monster Hunter.
What I really liked about it is that like later on they had the
rusted one.
Well, yeah, they had the rusted Kushala or like the different in between, but they had what is it? The molted skin on the side of the tundra map up at the very top.
Oh yeah,
and you could like mine from it and get different resources.
And get bit by a kazoo whelp and it suck your blood for a while. Yeah. Yeah. That was a creepy thing. All right, so what's the third?
This is hard for me. I don't know why.
It's fine.
Kelby.
Oh, totally. My favorite, hands down. No, what I do like about the introduction of World, how you can like break off the horn now and then only farm that essentially, rather than sit there and hack and slash at something, jumping back and forth, and then eventually maybe get a horn. Like it's like a certainty or a guaranteed thing now. I do like that quality of life.
Sure.
Man,
it's our first Kelby discussion. I'm proud.
What is the usual one, like Kelby or something, or Kieran's, and
I mean,
Kieran.
that like.
I was about to say we just got super arc tempered Kelby.
Yeah.
It's brutal, man. The one shots with full augmented gear and full defense and.
Yeah. So is that really your third? Is Kieran or no?
No, I hate Kieran.
No.
Okay,
I misunderstood
Kieran from
there.
the beginning. Kieran
Yeah.
has never been an enjoyable thing for me. Laoshan. Let's go with that.
Okay. Respectable. It's a
Boring
big
fight,
monster.
cool design.
Right.
We used to just like somebody would type out like the whole the greatest fight in the universe or whatever song when we would do it. Tripping the Lao, front legs is like what, like a 4 or 5 second down. Back legs is like a 10, 12 second down. Like roughly 22 head flinches. Plus like I don't know. We had this down to like math and science, so like it was.
Yeah. It was like you have that down a lot better than I did. I just knew like I'm staying at the head, or you get the foot, or like we just like took position and we didn't really count anything.
It's the first mounted monster too. So if you think about it,
That's true. Yeah, it was the first one you could mount in quotations.
Huh.
I heard
Yeah.
tell that there was they had planned for more, but it never made like the final cut. But the idea behind
Right,
the monster
yeah.
was like basically crawling all over it.
Yeah, I think I saw banned Toby Kadachi on Twitter say that. Yeah, he's good to get some info.
Taking the place of
If you want.
Kogath and the Wikia.
Yep. Actually, fun fact: I used to be on the Wikia.
Oh yeah?
Yep,
When was this?
it was a while. Gosh, 2010 is the last time I posted.
Nice.
So it was just before I joined
Back
Reddit.
in Try 3U era.
Yeah, it was trying. 3U hadn't been out yet. I was making hammer guides because I was a hammer bro for a long time.
Charge, hit, charge again, hit 3 times.
That was
Nice.
a little more detailed than that.
Stand
But
due
yes.
northwest. Hit ground.
No, I was more talking. It was like if you're fighting Legiacris and he does this, you probably want to roll this way because of the
Like placement
it
and
was all
stuff.
that. Yeah, it was about that.
Hold at handle. Swing.
Yeah.
Hit them with the heavy side.
Yeah. So, Toaster, you have our last question for Virtue.
So, if you could go on a date with one monster,
Oh.
which would you date?
I'm not into that marm stuff. I don't want to get slimed. I always found that like mildly inappropriate, but it was funny. But I was just like, it's kind of awkward being in the room with this game right now. If I had to date a monster, wow, it's just like so out of the corner.
Question always gets people.
Where do you come up with this stuff?
We had a user question a long time ago. It's we used to take user questions in the first edition of this podcast, and we had a really great one. I think it was episode 4. So this is actually we've rebranded. So this would be like I said, we're on our episode 34 now. It was episode 4 of the original podcast, which means there was another 4 because it only got to 8. And then so it's been a long time ago. It's like been since July. Maybe.
Some of the old user questions are fun. I also like the I think I came up with the other one that I liked, which was which type of monster would you try to eat?
I mean, I'd eat them all.
Okay.
Now that I'm no longer vegan.
If I was gonna date a monster, Mizune.
Okay.
Hey.
That's Toaster's answer.
It's silky looking. It's clean, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that joke. I'm going to tell you a clean jerk. I'm going to tell you a clean joke and a dirty joke. The clean joke is I took a bath of Bubbles. The dirty joke is Bubbles is a girl.
Nice.
I
learned that in like
name.
5th grade. Oh man. So we're kind of just going to be spitballing today for our main topic. It's kind of funny. E3 PlayStation's conference is happening as we're talking, and it's actually on silently while we're recording this, just in case Monster Hunter news drops. And I'm sure that there's other things that we might comment on today, because I mean E3 is not just big for Monster Hunter, although it's only recently been big for Monster Hunter. We've only had one E3 showing, and that was last year.
I do have some Monster Hunter information that you might not have.
Oh yeah. Did you see that leak with the
Behemoth from Final Fantasy?
Yes.
I saw that, and it looked like it was holding Joe in its mouth.
See, I didn't know about the Behemoth. I knew about the
opposite crossover where Los was in 14.
Yeah, Wrath. That's actually one of the topics I put down to talk about.
Nice.
I am excited for that.
Yeah, it's a crossover both ways. They're double crossed.
See, I always
coming out August 28th.
Nice.
Oh wow, that's pretty soon. I always thought that Nergigante looked like the Behemoth. I always kept saying it's like, oh yeah, it's basically just a Behemoth that's not purple. Well,
it's Behemoth.
Well, but that technically hasn't been announced yet, so we don't know that. I mean, that could be doctored. I doubt it. I saw the footage. It looks pretty legit.
It looks legit.
I'm excited for official news.
I think it's going to be the Summerfest that people have been finding the bombs that you can make in the melting pot with some information, some items.
Huh.
Yeah. So we had our Blossom Fest or our Spring Fest. I think this is going to be our Summer Fest, and so that was listed for summer, and the Final Fantasy 14 content's listed for summer, something in like late July, maybe August. In the true sense of
kind of
summer.
like they did with Dante. Mm-hmm. Dante was at the end of the event, spring event.
I'm excited for the opposite as well. Even though I don't play Final Fantasy 14 anymore, the fact that there's going to be I'm assuming it's just a dungeon boss, not a raid, but I mean it might be a raid boss to take down a Rathalos.
Yeah,
it should be a raid boss.
I think it's going to be like a world instance where they have like events normally in like the open plains. It's what are they called? Fates.
Yeah. I bet they
played 14.
They do have huge fates though.
Yeah.
Like Odin, where it kills everybody. I think it'll be neat.
Yeah. So that leak. So that reminds me. So we did a predictions episode 2 episodes ago, where we talked about like how many monsters and that kind of stuff. We did that with Haru and Mad Wolf. But since then there was a leak from 4chan. But first of all, how legit do you guys think that leak is?
Honestly, they have been like the most reputable source ever. So
sometimes they're spot on, sometimes they're 4chan. I mean, take your pick.
Right.
I forget. You guys live in that forum world. I abandoned it long ago and got off the ship. So
4chan?
No, I mean like you guys do like Reddit and stuff.
I mean, I used to be on 4chan, but I stopped.
Yeah, I've never even. The only thing I've ever looked at 4chan for is the green texts, as they call them, for D&D stories.
Sorry. On the stream.
This sounds like justifications.
My whole gasp I wanted to point out. I forgot this was the Sony press conference, and there was something that looked like Animal Crossing. And then it was revealed to be just some VR game, and I was like, super excited and then super disappointed in the span of 4 seconds.
Yeah, it's noon tomorrow, man. Noon my time, at least. It'll be 11 your time.
See, here's my thoughts. If we don't get something today for Sony, which would mean that Capcom would probably follow up soon thereafter with Summerfest involved and or this potential of the Behemoth Final Fantasy collaboration.
Right.
then that would mean that it would be on Nintendo's shoulders potentially for Capcom, and then that would mean that. Thing? So I think that either we're getting something Switch related, which I mean they have Generations Ultimate to talk up, but I feel like there's got to be more to it. And we're in the 5th generation now, as of World, so Nintendo usually stays on par as the gens are going along. You know what I mean? So like, what are they gonna get is what I'm curious about. And handheld's not ruled out because I don't see it as a dead console. They just came out with newer versions of the same thing just last year at the end of the year, with like the revamped 3DSs, 2DSs, etc. So I don't think that they've given up on that.
Right.
So something. I don't know.
I still think it's going to be at Sony, because that's one of the things that the leak that we were just talking about says, that it'll be at Sony, which I kind of believe because
Could you flush out the leak a little bit for me? I feel like I'm.
Oh no, yeah, I will here in a second. What I was just saying is, it says I kind of believe it because Monster Hunter World was on, was debuted on Sony stage last year, so. So this leak, it's got a lot of details about a new map, essentially. And it's going along the lines of what I thought is something. It's a tundra-esque map, so a snow map.
It's one of the main ones missing, I think, from this entry right now.
Right, and it's supposed to be actually heavily forested also, like a pine forest, which we haven't really seen something like that, like an Arctic forest as much. We've mostly seen like glacier kind of territory.
You kind of had that. The opening area was forest, so I think they just might be doing that, just shifted slightly more towards the forest side.
Of the tundra map?
Yeah.
That was all glacier, wasn't it?
Oh, no. The third gen...
3U.
I said 4U because 4U had the yaks and stuff. But...
I think
you started on the boat in 4U, and then you went across like broken icebergs, glacial.
Yeah, that was just a glacier. That was a straight up glacier.
But
3U, you started beside a like a river, and then that was like kind of rocky, and there was trees and stuff up around that area, and then went into like a cavern glacier setup.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it would be.
That's also the one that showed up in Generations, right?
Both?
Because I remember you had to find a Blaganga. And it was on that map.
Well, Generations was celebratory, so it had a lot of older maps and thrown back in.
Right.
Okay.
The one I've seen so far replaying Generations is the Snowy Mountain from Pokemon, but that's about it that I've encountered.
So the original Tundra map.
Yeah. But yeah, supposedly that's coming. Supposedly there's a giant like Arctic fox kind of monster that is going to be the sort of lead in, because you find it. The leak says you'll find it in the Coral Highlands as like one of those special investigations, and then you follow it back to the tundra.
I'm down.
Cool. The tundra is supposed to have 5 new monsters. So fox.
Would the fox play the role of an elder, or you think?
No, more like a Joe, a roaming monster like Beetlejuice or Joe.
Mr. Juice.
Yep, Mr. Juice. Then the other thing I said, there's going to be another Yaku, and it was a poison one.
The ZZ one is so disrespectful, in my opinion. Just that side nonchalant back kick, mule kick, whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah, that messes me up all the time.
I hate it. You can kick so much ass all day, and then you could run into one of those, and it's like you've never picked up a controller.
Right. Then the third monster they said was Zamtrios, which I think is crazy because we don't have an amphibian yet, so that's a new skeleton in the game.
Cool.
It would. Then they also said Tigrex.
If they're gonna do a tundra map, then they feel like Tigrex deserves justice and needs to come back.
Right. And then the elder in that area is supposed to be Rusted Kushala.
I
don't know how I feel about a Kushala reskin. I agree.
I kind of want Unkalos. And then the map after that can be a lava map and you can get a Cantor.
Another lava map. Yeah.
A better lava
Kind of.
map.
So
yeah, I mean, yeah, Elder's Recess is only half lava. Come on.
I love World, I really do, and I feel like it's got all of these changes and new setups and slingers and pods and has it all. But I kind of view this game as a try, and in that sense, I mean, like Monster Hunter has like clear jumps between game development or the way that it's portrayed, and I think that like the first one is like the static formula. And then it's not, and it's a pinnacle in the third gen, but third gen is essentially when like it tried something new. Moved you locations, it changed the way that you approach elders, etc., etc. For you, I kind of see as like an evolving generational step. But like this is obviously clearly in a new direction.
Right.
I feel like this is an incompleted game, and I think people would agree because they feel like they want more monsters, they want more maps, or things that we're more accustomed to. I think that this, like a try, we're going to have something that balances that out, so that would be almost like a World Ultimate or a continuation. I know it's a bit early to be saying that because we're still technically in year one, but I mean, looking down the pipe, I see the game evolving more in a more
not even really
fleshed
been
out
6 months yet.
version. I know. It's a bold leap, but I really think that like that kind of holds ground with the series and just the way that the game is. You know what I mean? Like it's as much as it's new and it's nice and it's got different stuff. It's almost like all those elements that we're missing. You normally get those missing elements in like an upgraded version.
Right, and that's very true, and it's a good point. I think World's biggest downfall, in comparison to other games, is literally just the monster list. That's it. There's not enough monsters compared to other games when people complain about that.
The weapon development.
Personally,
there's a complaint.
Well, yeah, that's true too.
The same skins for everything. Come on.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the weapon designs. I don't have a problem with it as much. I'm also a longsword main, which has that problem far less than other weapons for some reason.
I like the natural progression, but I mean, if you look at Monster Hunter as a whole, the flashier, more fleshed out,
right?
Lit weapons, not as in just kick-ass, but they're actually like glowing and have textures to them that vary very wildly from one another.
That's why I think this was their kind of showing off, hey, this is what Monster Hunter can look like on a console. And then the next one, they're going to go back to the traditional, okay, we're back to the Monster Hunter. Let's get some cartoony stuff and crazy things up in here.
I think we're kind of past that.
I kind of...
Maybe.
I don't want to be. I just think, like I said, I thought this was kind of one of those, let's make exactly what the investors want to see.
This is our try.
Yeah. I think the game is just fine as far as content right now. I want more, obviously, but I'm not saying that there's too little content to play.
I got Monster Hunter World.
Well, we might be getting we might be getting older, but in the sense of Monster Hunter, I think we're getting more efficient, more nailed down in our routines. So content that would have taken us an additional couple hundred hours that then we look back on and be like, we equate that the hour or the mileage to fun. We're not getting as much out of these newer games because we're already ready, set, and go. We've already learned what we need to learn. I didn't jump into World and was lost when I jumped into like a Freedom title. I jumped into this game and flourished because that's what this game has trained me to do.
I will say though, this game was very, I don't want to say beginner friendly because that sounds very condescending, or at least it comes off that way, but it's
streamlined. My roommate Arctic, we've had him on as a guest before.
Yep.
He had never played a Monster Hunter game before, and this was his first one, and he got through the whole game using Hunting Horn, which generally isn't recommended for beginners, but he did the whole game with it. So it's like, okay, this one taught a little bit better.
Well, think of all the time that you spend normally gathering, and all the time that you spend normally sharpening your weapon, and all the time that you spend, bringing more additional items with you. And I mean, you get access to the farm relatively early in this game, and they give you the perks or benefits to mass make materials much faster than previous games. I definitely think a lot of the content is more tailor made to fight action only. So maybe I think that's also in part due to the success that Monster Hunter World's seen over other Monster Hunter entries, just because of all that non-downtime.
Yeah, I like that it was a lot faster to get into this one as well. Because, like, I will say that was probably the biggest thing I hate. Like, the only reason I really don't want to start a new character is because I don't want to... I have that feeling of, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do Hunter rank 1 through 3 again. Right. Like...
Yeah.
I shouldn't be worried about that. I should just be like, oh, yay, new Monster Hunter. But I'm actually dreading the opening, which is, I think, something that Worlds did great by not hating the opening.
Yeah. I mean, there was complaints with the forced cutscenes where you couldn't play with friends and that kind of stuff. But and in hindsight, those were sort of like I still don't like that those happened. I still think they could have done it a ton better. Like, I don't know, like they did with Cool Bay.
I think it's...
Or, yeah, like anything. But, like, it's been so far behind me now because I finished the story in 60 hours and now I'm sitting at 560. So, like... there were so many improvements to the game that, like, you know, stuff like that wasn't really gonna hurt it, I guess.
I think I liked the forced cutscenes, honestly, and the forced single player, because it encouraged people to just try it on their own instead of just, oh, let me get my friends to help me carry me through this game, and then I won't like it as much.
Hands down, the worst multiplayer present to present. I don't like the setup of multiplayer. I don't. Not keen on it.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to organize something if you're not in a squad together.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's also hard to enjoy. I mean, like, yeah, I get it. Like, they want you to, or rather, is it assumed that they want you to deal with the challenge first on your own, rather than allow you the opportunity to take on the challenge with, say, friends, like previous titles where you could already up because it was the first time that you were all facing this new monster. Whereas in this game, it's like, nope, you have to see this cutscene. Nope, you have to have either already done it and seen that cutscene and now wait on the person to see the cutscene. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's all these unspecified rules that you kind of have to figure out. And I mean, it's there. The jargon's there, but I don't really feel like the notation of it is good. And even if it was, then I still don't think that would make up for that situation.
Yeah, they definitely made a mistake in forcing you to watch those at the expense of playing with people.
I also think early on in going back last year when we saw early footage, when you saw NPCs like take a windrake away, we all may have made that assumption or connection that it was other players. And
yeah,
I wish that it was. I wish that I could see other people throughout the entirety of Astera, not just the Gathering Hub. I feel like the Gathering Hub is mostly like a ghost boat until, you decide to go up there or Colv shows up or something.
Yeah. I did like in 4U that they forced you to be up there. I kind of wish
they had
would
specific locations. Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, bring back that forced multiplayer area, but at least put stuff in it. Like, put, like, a quick link to the Forge and all that jazz in it.
Up until World, I think 4U did story best. And you also progressed by that forced hub. The story progressed you to that point. So at that point, there really was no reason for you to go backwards because you've already accomplished what you need to per area. And that also had that very defined separation line between multiplayer and single player. Whereas if you wanted to do single player, then obviously you were traveling back through, Bar Harbor and a couple of the other locations, Chico Sands. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. Dondurma?
Right.
And yeah, because the final one basically was in Dondurma, right?
Yeah.
So you felt like it was the end, and your next place was the G rank hub. As like, oh yeah, this is where I just need to be next.
Like the game corralled you that way, but it felt natural. Whereas in this game, it's like, oh, you don't have to go up there. You can do all this stuff from over here, but you just don't. You feel isolated, I guess, is the way that I view it.
I think the other issue I have is the whole, it takes a while to load into just there. So, like, you don't like going there and then coming back to do something else. So it's just like, I'll just stay out of the place because there's nothing there that isn't somewhere else.
I mean, I know you already have a dedicated, like, smithy right down, and the load time is, 8 seconds, 15 seconds, depending on the unit you have or how you have it partitioned in your system or whatever, but sometimes longer. I don't know, based off your internet connection, but I mean, even if they put a smithy up top here, you know what I mean? Like, just things to encourage the players to stay grounded around one another, I think would make the game feel more lively. And not that it hasn't already succeeded beyond expectations, but just like those little things would enable, I guess, more of that communal sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I felt about the other games. Like when, like, what was it?
Yeah.
In Try, people could come into your homes and you could walk through the back alley area, and then you could also walk in the lobby area. And in the first Monster Hunter, people, I don't remember if people could. I think people could visit you in your room, but you could only really see them in the main tavern, and then outside of the tavern, and then like the side area where like you would have like Claw Day or something like that. You didn't see people, but there was enough NPCs to where it felt like there was something going on over there.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I remember there was a big community sense even from the first game. You'd see each other. You'd sit around the table, knock mugs together, all that kind of stuff. And it was just... I remember like enjoying playing online a ton in those original days. And then, we got maybe they moved over to PSP and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And,
it's like maybe they just need to package Monster Hunters with like Logitech keyboards like we used to roll back in the day. And then people would be encouraged. Not that they ever provided those, but I'm just saying, like, if they did that, then you would have more reason to try to communicate that way. And that's also like a missing sense. Like the communication element has changed so much over the course of Monster Hunter over the last like 14 years.
Yeah. I'm one of these days I'm gonna change some notification of mine to that little text blip from the original Monster Hunter. The blip. One of these days. Just to sort of switch gears a bit, what have you guys been most excited for in general for E3 so far? Or what are you looking forward to?
Well, I just saw one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 remake? Is that what that is?
I think so. Also, I'm really kind of disappointed because from the opening of that trailer, I thought it was going to be a game where you played as a rat, and I was like, hell yeah. But no, Resident Evil. There's a couple new things. They just showed off a samurai game called Ghost of Inashuma or something like that.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Tsushima? Okay.
Yeah, I've been super stoked for that.
Yeah.
Sucker Punch is doing that.
Yeah, they do good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm looking forward to all the newer things. Like, returning IPs are cool and all. Like, Resident Evil's neat, but I'm interested in to see what we can get that's like new. You know what I mean? Like, newer ideas get me more excited because it's like, okay, this is something we haven't tried before, or new visual techniques or something like that.
I talk about Fallout, but one of us isn't a vault dweller, so I mean, I'll let it go.
No, you can talk about Fallout. I don't have any problems with that. I just don't like the game personally.
Well, what is it you don't like about it? I guess is the good question.
He hates VATS.
VATS.
I don't know if that's going to be... I don't know how viable that'll be in a multiplayer online...
Well,
it probably won't be there.
Yeah.
The current one you can play without VATS. They made it so good to play without it. Also, you can play Fallout Shelter on Switch now, Fortuan. There's a game for you.
And Skyrim on Alexa.
Oh yeah,
that was great. Just the cheekiness.
Right. I don't know. I might give it a chance. The thing is, like, everyone's like, they talk about Bethesda and they're all like, Fallout, or Elder Scrolls. I mean, I like Elder Scrolls and just fine. And I'm, like I said, I'm not super into Fallout, but I'm always looking for Doom. So I got what I wanted.
So it sounds like you like higher action or at least faster pace, whereas in some of these other games are a little bit more dialogue based. Is that what I'm hearing here? Is that like you're not too keen on the RPG element? Is that
Yeah, not normally.
Okay.
I do like some RPGs.
Well,
I love Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah.
See, but that's more of like a methodical thinking game. So like RPGs have moved away from the turn-based and become more of like, let me talk to you and then try to find this option and then let me think about how this might do something, even though it's relatively linear. So it's not like it really changes that much as it's influencing you, like on the immersive storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right about that. I haven't really thought about it too much about like I like this.
Why
kind
I
of
don't
thing.
like these games.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that much because like I like I kind of like tactical shooters and that kind of stuff, but
do you like?
I cannot get into like what was the Mass Effect.
Do you like XCOM?
Mass Effect.
I was about to ask that. I was like, do you like XCOM?
The reason I had troubles with XCOM was the permadeath, and it took me a long time to get used to permadeath.
Toaster and I are on the level right now.
Sorry. Yeah, you and I seem to enjoy the same things, Virtue.
Nice.
Well, this is pretty. Side note,
Kingdom Hearts stuff.
If you want to go back in time and watch E3 at the same time as we are, they're just showing Kingdom Hearts things now. And
your guys' stream is ahead of mine because they're still showing a purple guy with faces for eyes.
Oh yeah, also that's something else I'm kind of neat and excited for. Not like, oh, I can't wait, but I just want to see it. I'll watch something.
I think Kingdom Hearts took so long because they literally are pouring every single Disney property into this game from what I can see.
I know this is a Monster Hunter podcast mostly, but I mean we're all gamers, so we can talk about it. I haven't seen any Final Fantasy in any of the footage of the new Kingdom Hearts, so I'm a little concerned. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of good stuff. I'm seeing a lot of good stuff, just no Final Fantasy yet, and I'm kind of worried.
My only takeaway is if they have like the Super Sephiroth battle, like if they have that and this, then okay, like you got me. Those have always been enjoyable.
And with the Final Fantasy VII remake, having an HD, like this quality HD Sephiroth battle would be intense.
You're basically playing a movie at this point, but they already said that they were going to try to do that like in 3 episodic episodes.
True.
Yeah, like they're going to make each game its own fully fleshed out game, but it's essentially going to be chaptered. I'm
kind of worried about that. I wish it was just a full game, like just give me like a huge game. Well, that's what I want out of my Final Fantasy. But
as kids, we were just looking at like one color polygon. We're like, oh, there's a forest here, like you know what I mean. But like in present day gaming specs, like they're really gonna have to make a forest there.
True. I mean, Nibelheim Crater is gonna be heck to render by itself, so I can't hate them too much.
I don't have any context.
just the whole time, you're just gonna be like, I'm not
play
strong
Final
enough.
Fantasy VII with us.
I'll never be strong enough.
Oh no! I'm sorry, brain fart. I did play 7.
Can we get a Final Fantasy crossover with Monster Hunter and get Sephiroth's overly huge sword for longsword?
I mean, isn't that kind of
what we have
talking about for the behemoth?
Yeah, but more than just one monster. I want like all sorts of stuff.
It looks like the Palico is the minion in Final Fantasy. It looks like, and I hate calling them Palicos. I've always hated that. They're just feline comrades till the day I die. Monster
Feline
lifer.
comrade.
Yeah, I miss my little Russian blue cat. Salsa, Melchor, the OGs. Bring them back.
Salsa.
Okay.
That was the cat in Try? Or no, not. I'm sorry. Rephrase that. That was the cat in Freedom 2, and then carried over into Freedom Unite.
Oh, okay.
Like generic cats.
Oh, very neat.
Yep.
And it was Melchor, I think, in Freedom 1.
There's a lot of things I'm honestly excited about for E3.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping for something Monster Hunter related, but there's a lot of other stuff that could be coming out that I'm thrilled about.
It's literally the only reason why I'm watching the Sony press conference at all is just to look for Monster Hunter news. Like, personally, I mean, E3 this year, a lot of steam was taken out of it for me.
From my understanding, there's Capcom reps at E3 right now, so I feel like that's more foreboding that there's going to be something.
By the way, I want to point out Capcom seems to be doing like as much as possible to just eat space that was left when Konami died. Like Capcom's like, this is all our territory now.
I never just thought about it that way. I mean, Konami didn't die, just the gaming community.
It was murdered.
So
by its board of directors.
Are you team Kojima or team Konami? Is this like a movie that appeals to moms?
Kojima.
Like,
I am team Kojima all the way.
You know,
same here.
I wish,
even though I won't play his games,
deep down, I want to understand what it's like to be that cool, because it's like everything he does is just like, he's watching a movie. He's watching a movie, and he found it, and this is a movie that came out 10 years. But because Kojima's watching it, it's like, this must be a really good movie. Like, I want to know what it's like to be Kojima.
I put Kojima's sanity level on the same guy who does what's his name? Travis Touchdown.
He's kind of like a quieter version of Samuel L. Jackson for game development. I mean, like, maybe? Is that a reach?
Do you know who I'm thinking of? The guy who did
That's a very interesting way to describe someone.
Well, I just think, like, who's somebody who portrays a badass? And then it's like, but he's loud. Right. But, like, who's somebody who portrays a badass in gaming that everybody just seems to respect for whatever reason?
Reggie.
Yeah.
Really?
Reggie Fils-Aimé.
Everybody loves Reggie.
Yep.
But
I don't know if I'm on that train.
What's it? Killer 7 and No More Heroes and stuff. That person is also that same level of insane as Kojima, but Kojima seems to be just stepping it farther. Like,
when they announced Splatoon 2 and they had that person out there and like not an actual squid scientist, that was the best.
Oh.
And I still think that they should have called it Splatoon. This is my contribution to the world.
Yeah. I do want to see Nintendo's thing. I think the wife and I are going to watch that together, because I won't be able to watch it because it's during my work day. So we're going to watch like a
Kojima.
You like that Splatoon, don't you?
I played it a little while. I have it, but
God.
They're showing Death Stranding, but it's like some weird hiking travel simulator, Norman Reedus adventure.
It looks like Zelda, but like if you had to play a scientist who actually had to haul shit around.
Welcome to slow walking simulator.
Oh, you're crossing river. Oops, you dropped half your boxes. Go get them.
Like I said, you guys' stream is ahead of mine, so they're still just walking. So I don't know. I think we're at a point maybe we could just talk about the balloon toaster.
All right. Give me 1 second to get ready for this. I have to pull up another tab because I don't want to overwrite E3.
Wow, the dropping your boxes in the water literally just happened. That is so delayed.
You see what I mean? The whoops, now go fetch them.
Why are you pulling off your toenail, you weirdo?
I had to hide that scene. I assume it's because it got infected or something terrible, but...
Oh, I got a picture of a toenail pulled up from a vacation trip.
I don't think we need to see it, man.
I wouldn't say strangely relevant.
We're all getting so close. I mean...
Oh, jeez.
Right, let's see. Oh, I will need your guys' help on this one, by the way.
Okay.
Because I haven't fought Super Kieran yet, so I want to call in. I'm going to do a thing where I call in outside experts. Oh, so
okay.
The monster balloon is basically, we have like a little side quest thing, like a monster of the week kind of thing, and it's styled in the fashion of like the old like 1940s black and white, Zeppelin here in the unexplored ruins of the Forgotten Society. Rest terrifying monster, the super cheesy old nature documentary type of thing.
Nice.
So we have researchers and balloons, and because I haven't fought Arc Temper
Scriveners.
Kieran yet, Kieran yet, I'm gonna call you guys in as outside consultants and like I hired mercenary researchers.
Are we role playing, or are you gonna give me like a room ID?
He does a little bit of role.
Yeah, a little bit of role play, just to make it silly.
I'm standing here staring at the sunset, man. I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
All right. I'm just giving Fortuan nowhere to cut it, so I'm ready to go.
All right.
Welcome back for another exciting episode of Flash Unicorn. Today we are exploring the ultimate in power and lightning. We're going to be talking about the Kieran today. Kieran is actually the first Elder Dragon we're going to talk about on the Monster Balloon, and it's not even the dragon. Kieran, in case those who have never seen it, is a smallish. I mean, it's taller than you, probably twice as tall as you. It's a pony with a giant unicorn horn, and it has the power of lightning.
It's like I just imagine like a horse with like a tinier horse on its forehead, but then a horn on that horse.
The omnicorn.
Geez.
But yes, the Kieran is based off of the historical, actual mythological style of Kierans, where it's just a beast that controls lightning. It is a pretty difficult Elder Dragon. I never got to fight it in the earlier versions, but I'm assuming it was hard back in the originals when you didn't have as much movement.
Yeah, it was. It charged a lot more than it does now too.
Quilin, Japanese guard dog of lightning, storms, clouds, origins.
They do have of course they have a mane because it's a horse. But the mane is very dangerous because you can bounce off it super easy. In fact, I think in most of the versions, you usually have to have the highest sharpness in order to not bounce off its mane. And then sometimes you still do, like in Worlds, when it has its thunder up.
Right. Unless you're like me and use Mind's Eye.
Yes, Mind's Eye is super helpful. I suggest doing that.
Yeah.
It obviously, after me talking about thunder all this time, it uses lightning and paralysis attacks. That said, you cannot paralyze it. It is completely immune. Don't try it.
Fortuan, you started in the first Monster Hunter, right? That's what
I did.
What I've heard in the previous casts. Toaster, you are
I started with 4U. I originally tried 3, but I only had motion controls, so that stopped after 2 hours.
You could have been a Tri-Baby, but you weren't.
Nope.
Nice. Fortuan, when the Monster Hunter first dropped, the first day, there was a Kieran event.
Okay.
Really?
Do you remember that?
I didn't get to play it until December.
Day one, they put a Kieran in with a bunch of people wearing leather armor, and it was a disaster.
Yes.
More lives were lost.
I was going to ask if anybody succeeded, but
if they're alive, well, they're not alive anymore. I guess that's the point.
Yeah, geez. Wow. That's very unkind of Capcom.
It's been this very weird relationship of being hurt and then just like wanting more this whole time.
So most of its attacks are dealt with lightning bolts and of course its horn, and it can also back hit you, with its hooves. So just standing behind it, you're not immune. It'll kick you in the face. They seem to show up in a lot of different varieties of like locations. The only thing it looks like they don't show up in is like magma areas.
Yeah.
Not correct.
Really?
Freedom 2 and Freedom Unite.
See, I never got to
Did they?
play those.
I don't remember.
Yeah, there was a double Kieran. It's essentially like an HR9 in the same zone that you fight Crimson Fatalis originally. At the base of the volcano.
Right. Yep. Yeah, you're totally right.
There was a Kieran in the arena challenges with Hammer. There's a couple other ones. Anyways, sorry.
No worries. I was
No,
saying, feel free to contribute to this.
I'm like, Kieran's been everywhere, dude. Kieran, it's nasty. It's in the jungle. It was in the swamp. I don't know if it's been in Forest and Hills. At least not in the early generations.
Tower, Snowy Mountains, Swamp, Old Swamp, Battlegrounds, Old Jungle. No, I think the closest has been to like a forest map is Jurassic Frontier, and that was Generations, right?
Okay.
They're usually weak to fire, and I didn't know this water. I thought they were only weak to fire.
Yeah, I only use fire, so meh.
Susceptible to poison, depending the version.
That's true too.
Yeah, that used to be like the cure-all. The high sharpness, high damage.
Mm-hmm. That's what made the Chrome Razor such a good greatsword.
Oh,
CR. Yeah. They usually make pretty fun armor. Kieran armor is some of the most famous armor, honestly, I think, in the game, just because of all the female set.
We used to call the female version Kieran Hooch. That was a thing for a while. We used to call it Kieran Hooch gear.
I never did that, but okay.
It was pretty common, but maybe
also,
in some circles, depending on the circles you frequent.
Yeah.
I will point out though, the Kieran male pants are the best chaps in the world. If you want to see male booty, there you go. Go with the Kieran male.
That'll never take the place of the bone thong in my heart. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's one way to go.
So there are two variants. Well, technically three, but two variants of the Kieran. First off, we're going to talk about the Orochi Kieran, which most people know about and may be coming to Worlds. We will see.
Leak list.
Yep, it's in my predictions and in the leak list. I didn't mention
and
that.
And the newest 4chan leak, right? Or no?
Yeah.
So the Orochi Kieran is an ice Kieran, which instead of its pretty white fur and whiter mane, it is dark and black and dark purples, and it controls the power of ice, and it's cool.
Filled with the disparity of the players. It's like an evolved Pokemon based off hate.
I will point out
they haven't made that yet. It's like a hate Pokemon. Like they get their elements.
Well, they're probably not wanting you to pseudo pretend to abuse your Pokemon, I think is the issue.
They have a move called Frustration in Pokemon that does more damage based on how much your Pokemon hates you.
That is true. Yes, you're right.
One thing I found out a while back, and this is just a fun fact I like, Orochi Kieran, the word Orochi means wind coming down the mountain, which kind of explains the whole cool air, wind, ice thing.
Fancy.
It's kind of neat.
Right.
So it's basically the exact same thing as the lightning version, but now with lots of ice. So instead of the attacks coming from the sky, they explode out of the ground in icy terribleness. I didn't know they could inflict snowman status on you, apparently.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, they're still weak to fire and water.
Well, I mean, ice, fire, that makes sense.
Fire and ice have always been a trade-off for like elder weaknesses, depending the version of the game. It's also not an elder. It didn't start as one, and I refuse to accept it as one.
Aw, you don't like Elder Kieran?
There was two monsters in the series Monster Hunter that went by the classification Mythos, and that was Kieran, and then later on in Dose that was Yama, and then they were adopted into the Elder Dragon family.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it was like a mythological monster in the world of Monster Hunter.
I wonder if that's because they originally intended to have more mythological monsters, and then they just kind of grouped them into kind of like Pokemon does, where they call them legendaries, and they're just like, let's just call our legendaries elders.
Yeah, Capcom's definitely done like a chunk of like retconning as far as like lore, history, and then just overall explanations.
Yeah, they've always had some idea of what's going on in there, I think, but they do change things from time to time.
They're more focused on the game than explanation sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm not a huge video game story dude, so.
One neat thing is, unlike Kieran, there's only two places you can find an Orochi Kieran ever. They either show up in the Everwood, which is if you ever played 4U, it was the randomized zone, where you had guild quests, which were terrifying. And It also showed up on the Tower Summit, which is generally reserved for event quests and neat little one-off fights.
For some reason, when you said that, Crackdown 3 was still fresh in my mind, so I just imagine like a Kieran Terry Crews just like popping out and be like, surprise!
I'm making a video of that now, thanks. That's going to happen.
Nice. I don't know. I've always liked Kieran. Like I've said before, it's my third best monster. Top in my top 3.
Is it the challenge, or is it like the visual aesthetic, or like
or the weapons?
What is the takeaway?
I think it's both. I think it's both the challenge and the aesthetic of it. I'm huge into mythological creatures and that kind of stuff, and that Kieran has always fascinated me. So it's
I can dig
it. I like it a lot, and the fight can be fun. I don't particularly care for the arc tempered Kieran. Not that I think the fight is bad. It's just not different.
So
at all.
Yes, that was what I was actually going to ask about next. Is we have 2 outside researchers today from the Research Society, Fortuan and Virtue, because I have not fought Super Mega Kieran. So what do you think of Arc Kieran?
It's a Kieran. It hits harder.
Does it have any unique moves? Because I saw it got
It's
a lot
Death
more laser
Incarnate.
beams.
I mean,
it has more
I didn't
charge
feel-
lightning, in my opinion.
oh yeah,
Really?
okay. I didn't feel like I noticed anything.
So
At
it'll
all.
it'll rear up, rain in, and then it'll do like a 5-point star formation of like lightning drops. And if you're within a certain radius, and also depending on like how enraged it is, it might follow up with another 5-star, but like kind of like at a rotated angle. And then it has like a charged up, I don't know, just essentially rage mode, where it'll call down a more powerful lightning strike, because there's some strikes that you can live through, and then there's other ones that like it's a guarantee one shot, unless you're wearing like completely lightning or stun negate.
Okay. Would you say it's harder than 410 Guild Quest Kieran's? Or
You mean 240?
that's what I meant. What is-
140.
Yeah, that's right.
140.
I don't know
Sorry,
why I said 410.
man. I'm just out of it today. Sorry.
140 Kieran's harder or easier?
I wouldn't know. I never did a 140 Kieran.
140s were enjoyable because they were challenging, but also kind of BS. But this is on a different level, man. Like you can have, like I said, fully augmented gear, defense in the positive towards lightning, a stun negate, a thunderproof mantle, and the sucker can still one-shot you depending on which phase or cycle he's in.
Okay.
It's almost, I mean, yeah, like you could solo it. Yes, soloing is easier, different HP pool than multi. If your team's efficient, or you got, like if you're employing a certain tactic, then most certainly, yeah, you could probably do that too. But just on the norm, he's a pain in the ass to deal with.
So I'm going to have to try it with my anti-Kieran set, which is a heavy bowgun with 3 shield mods on it. And shield up.
The only thing that kill Kieran is Kieran. Like it's become like a Chuck Norris joke at this point.
Yeah.
There are 2 other variants of Kieran, which are going to go super fast because there's not much descriptions of them. There is a thing called a Thunder Emperor Kieran, and it looks super cool. It's from, unfortunately, Monster Hunter Explorer, which I don't think anybody in America has played ever and will not play. It's the mobile handheld one.
Oh, that's weird.
It's a yellow lightning Kieran. I think it looks neat.
That's a Pokemon.
It looks like a Saiyan Kieran.
That's a Pokemon.
It's like a Rajang Kieran. But I cannot find any description of how it fights, what it does, anything like that.
That's that yellow Eevee.
And then, of course, like always, there's a hardcore Kieran introduced in Monster Hunter Frontier. It has blue glowing eyes. It's always surrounded by lightning. And now it has double back hits and a front flip that throws lightning. And a charge that's I'm going to use the description they wrote here because it's nice. A charge so fast it almost seems to teleport. And
wow.
In general, more powerful and more accurate lightning attacks, which is just, that's
when they introduced Tonfas in Frontier, that's when it changed the game, and that's when they started making monsters that, in my opinion, make absolutely no sense in their movements. It's just it's like this flighty dance on air game now.
I can't lie though, I love learning about these hardcore versions of the monsters. I don't know if you heard about our favorite one yet. Which is the first one we did. Velocidrome, which had a breath attack and one.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, it had one of 5 effects. One of them,
it's an omni-element Velocidrome.
Yeah, so it had whenever it used its breath attack, it would roll for one of the 5 effects. It could dung pod you, defense down you, make you drunk. I think the other one was make you fall asleep. And then the last one was it could Farcaster you.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even a Monster Hunter at this point. What are you talking about? Dude, I appreciate Frontier for all their accomplishments, and a lot of their movesets later migrated into the games, or gave us our arts, as people want to call them, or as they're officially called. But they should stop. Like when you get to the point where you're like, hey,
I don't know.
Tom, would you see that Bullfango right there? What if it could fart, and then what if it could sit down at the tavern and have a drink with you and tell you lies, and then later on you would be off your game and faint to a herb plant instead of gathering it killed you, and what if it's just really weird. That's strange. It's not Monster.
What if we had a Hydra made of Dalamadors?
I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
Except it uses its big laser beam with all mouths at the same time.
I'd be okay with that.
It's just a laser show at that point.
I like the idea of Monster Hunter getting ultra ridiculous, but I want there to be 2 sides to Monster Hunter. I literally want it to split, where on one side we have worlds and this type where it tries to make a living, breathing world that's really cool and, immersive. And then I want the other side of Monster where it just goes bonkers bananas, be like, any idea where they say like, oh, that's too silly. Oh, we'll just put it in Monster Hunter B.
so Capcom had like 2 weeb sons, and one was all like official and went to school and got a good job and made something of themselves, and the other one did drugs, and then you lived out this drug-fueled fantasy of what Monster Hunter could be.
Well, it's kind of like...
He won't freaking take off his Naruto jacket ever.
Because you got like... it's kind of like us. You have like Fortuan, who likes to do his... the ecologies of D&D monsters and all that cool stuff that's, really lore-fitting and stuff like me. And then, on the other hand, you have like... me, where it's like, what if we had like a beholder, but it's like 20 feet tall? Just stupid crap.
Right.
Like I really do want Dalamador back because I want to see that.
What if there was a Palico the size of the Stay Puft Man and we got all Ghostbusters on him with light bow guns?
We can bring back Shakalaka King and make him
no
Gogmazian size.
No, God, no.
So I just for clarity, where you stand on this? Worst monster ever? Like it could be anything.
Shakalaka King.
Yeah,
really?
Vespoid
Queen.
Yeah,
Vespoid Queen.
I mean, she was benign. I feel like she was not that hard. She was annoying, I guess, but Shakalaka King.
It's like a floating sack of boringness that could paralyze you occasionally.
Well, and she would do that defense down and all the bugs are swarming on you. But that's if you got hit by it, like me. No, Shakalaka King. Like, just...
No?
Tiny little midget that would take away 3/4 of your health in one hit.
Early on, these Gajas are pretty brutal sometimes. They'll just keep you from your carves, or paraknife you, or sleep knife you, until you become their friend.
I got chain paralyzed by some Gajas fighting Kieran once.
Gross.
So another idea I thought, this is just like, at this point we're just talking about silly
Kieran,
stuff.
It was Legiana. Sorry.
One I thought was, do you remember the Monster Hunter Stories where like you could do just terrible gene splicing with your monsters and make abominations.
Yes.
I want some of those to be real. I want to fight like a Fire Kirin, or I want to fight like a Thunder Diablos that can breathe lightning. Like just go on the off side of like having a just crazy game.
Here's an idea for a game that's monster related. So in the lore, the canon-friendly lore, riders are not welcomed in the normal guild respects, correct?
Right.
Like it's kind of viewed as like you're doing something unorthodox and wrong here.
I mean, in story, you had to prove yourself to one of the like normal cities full of hunters. Like you first walked in, everybody was like, ah.
Because I feel like there's a lot of conflicting preached messages here where like the Wyverians are like it's about being one with nature and keeping balance and yada yada yada, and then you have just like the guild overall, it's like, oh, all these people are suffering because the monsters keep attacking, so you got to kill the monsters to then restore our normal way of life. And then you have like the riders aspect where it's like they've completely gone the other way and they're bonding and they're friends with their rides or monsters or whatever monsties. I just thought that was strange. Yeah. What if we had a monster in a game where you could be a rider, or you could be a normal guild authorized hunter, and as the hunter your plan of attack or play style is that you go out and you kill these riders' mounts and vice versa.
Like this, so there ends up being like almost a faction system or kind of like a political like choice of like, is this the right
I'm
thing
not
to
saying
do?
it's a good idea. I'm just saying it's an idea that's in my head and my mouth right now.
It's like, it makes me think of No Soup for You. No monster for you. Oh, man.
Oh, can you imagine how sad that'd be? You kill a monster and then this rider comes up and like, what have you done?
I'd be okay with that.
I could see that.
Put it on the Xbox. That's where it belongs.
Jeez. Thanks again, hunters, for joining us. This is Fortuan signing off with, you can follow me at Hunters Hub Pod. And just so I don't forget, be sure to check out Wolfie Mellon, who does the music for our podcast, Jeremy Clark, who does the art, and cross promotion with r/Monster Hunter World. So after all of that, where will we see you on the next quest, Virtue?
I'll be out there in the deep, just hunting, man. Just doing that thing.
Okay.
Or is that the part where I'm supposed to talk about myself?
Yeah.
Okay. Misread.
That's fine.
I stream on Twitch, Brother Virtue _ Don't ask about the underscore. Long story. I'm on Twitter. I just say random things. Don't really care. And that's pretty much it.
Alrighty. Toaster, where are you at?
You'll be finding me doing a lot of E3 watching this week. I'm excited for it. You can also find me at Toasty Smiles on the Twitters. I recently got After Effects, so I'm going to be making some stupid GIFs coming up. Look forward to those. And when I'm not doing that, I'm going to be making some terrible, terrible abominations through monster gene splicing.
Ooh.
Nasty.
Okay. That made me think of that song Nasty Boys. You guys
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh. Could you start the tune?
Yeah.
Is that a Janet Jackson song?
That's a Janet Jackson song. Didn't she have like the music video had she like a cartoon?